up, guys? How you doing? Good morning. I hope you had a great weekend. So in the last video, if you watched it, if not, I'll leave a link somewhere over here. But anyways, we started working on the Dana 6C, and yeah, it was fun. We started tearing it apart, and we took some seals out. We put the inner seals back in, and now we are at this point. So basically, we have mostly a bare axle. So now what I'm gonna do, actually what I started doing last night, and I'll show you a little video of it, but so anyways, I'm gonna strip this whole thing and get at least as much as I can clean and ready for paint. And now, as far as paint, I'll show you that in a little bit. But anyways, I'm gonna start cleaning this thing because I feel like that's gonna be a task. Anyways, let's go ahead and do that. Okay guys, so we have spent about the last 3 hours or so getting this thing to a point that I feel pretty confident that we can start painting it. And anyways, let me show you kind of how it looks and what I did. So we cleaned up all the knuckles, all this stuff. I wasn't too worried about getting like the rust completely off of this thing because the product I'm gonna use to paint it is supposed to paint over rust. And we're still gonna clean it with a few other products. So I should get all of that off pretty good. The tubes are pretty clean. So is the pumpkin. It's got still kind of like dust and grease on it, so it doesn't look like completely clean, but it's pretty good. Same on this side. The cover, everything should basically be good to go. We also kind of swept the floors because there was a bunch of crap on here, and once we go and hose it off, I don't want all this stuff ending up in my driveway. So we cleaned the garage a little bit because it's a mess. Like, doing something like this is no joke. You definitely need a little bit of space. I feel like I'm even gonna struggle a little bit doing it in the garage. But we'll see how it goes. So anyways, let me show you what we actually got for paint. So we got some POR 15 coating on it, and that's basically gonna seal the axles from hopefully ever getting rust again. And then to give it a top coat, we got some Rust-Oleum semi-gloss. Even though this is supposed to be semi-gloss as well, I've seen it applied and it is glossy, like super glossy, and I hate that look. So that's why we're gonna top coat it with this, which should be pretty flat. This stuff is supposed to take a top coating, even especially if it's getting hit by the sun. If it's in a place where it won't get a lot of sunlight, it's fine without a top coating. But like I said, I don't like that shine, and the axles do get some sunshine from time to time, and that Rust-Oleum will help it last a little bit longer. And the cool thing with that is if it does start, you know, kind of going bad, you can go back over it and spray it again. Now this paint here, the POR 15, whatever, is what they call a 3-step system. So you got the degreaser, the metal prep, and then you paint. I got some big old, you know, 1 gallon jugs of this thing just because, you know, I didn't want to run out halfway through this thing. But you actually mix this 4 to 1, so 4 parts water, 1 part degreaser. So this thing should actually go a long way. Oh, and by the way, you can actually dilute this all the way to 10 parts water, 1 part degreaser. So that's pretty cool. Like I said, this should last a long time. But yeah, we are gonna spray this on there first. Let it sit there for a little bit, then you gotta rinse it with water. So now once you got the whole thing degreased and how you want it, we'll go back and use some metal prep on it. And once we're ready for that step, I'll go over how you're supposed to use it. But like I said, right now we're gonna go ahead and degrease it first, get it nice and clean, and then we'll move on. Okay, so I already did this once, but basically all it is just go around, make sure you get a nice coating all around it. At least everywhere that you want to get paint on. Oh, and then one thing that I did is I covered the tubes, every tube, and then the pinion over there, to make sure that you try and keep as much water, or all the water, from going into your axle. And then just rinse it. Make sure you get it nice and clean. Okay, now with your axle completely clean, degreased, dry, looking better than the day it did when I left the factory, we're gonna move on to step number 2, and that's gonna be metal prep. Now this is actually gonna prepare it, you know, like I said, it's obviously metal prep. So it's gonna help the Pro R15 actually adhere to the rust, to the metal, anything that might be left in it. This, you don't reduce it, it's straight. It's a nice pretty purple color. And just like with the degreaser, you are gonna completely coat your axle in it. And after it's been coated, you're gonna let it sit for about 20 minutes. So it's gonna be fun. Oh, also another thing that I did is, I don't know if you can tell, but I flipped this axle on this underside, or well, this would actually be its top side, but I flipped it and degreased it from both sides to be 100% sure that both sides were absolutely clean. Okay, so now that you have the whole thing coated with the metal prep, you're gonna let it sit on there for 20 minutes and make sure it doesn't go dry. That's why I closed my door and pulled it back a little bit because I wanted it out of the sun to help it last on there for a little longer. So maybe like every few minutes come back and, you know, respray it, make sure that it's soaked the whole 20 minutes. Then after we have done that, again, we're gonna flip it one more time, do everything on the other side. Again, I just wanna make sure that it's completely covered on both sides. I don't wanna miss anything of it. And once we've done that on both sides, then we're gonna actually go ahead and start painting. Well, first we're gonna rinse it. You gotta rinse it. But once we have rinsed it, it's completely prepared, then we're gonna go ahead and start painting this thing. So anyways, I'll check back in once I got both sides done. Okay guys, so this thing is completely ready. It is prepped. We degreased it, we used the metal prep on it, we let it dry for a couple hours. I wanted to be sure that it was completely dry before we started applying the paint, and it's looking good. So I'm gonna get my paint ready, my brushes ready, and also make sure you wear gloves while you're prepping it, and also while you're painting, because from what I know, that stuff, if it gets on you, it's staying on you for a while. So make sure that you have some good protection. Anyways, I'm gonna get ready and then we'll come back. Okay, so we are actually ready to start laying down some paint. And what I'm gonna do is, as you can see, I've got this cup right here. So instead of using it straight out of the can, we're actually gonna pour it a little bit at a time on this cup. And that's just to make sure that we can keep the paint fresh for as long as we can. Because this stuff, as soon as you open it, it actually starts curing. So the longer you can keep it closed, the better it is for the actual coating, for the actual paint. And it's open. So like I said, we're gonna pour just a little bit of Pour 15 on here, just a bit. That might have even been too much. And then I'm actually gonna clean this up a little bit. So now, they recommend that you do 2 coats on this. The first one being extra thin. And the way that I'm gonna do this is I'm gonna work my way from side to side. So I'm gonna start on this side and go all the way to the other side. And like I said, thin coats. So here goes nothing. I gotta say, this actually applies really, really nicely. And it looks like it's gonna go a long way. And like, that's what I heard everybody saying, like on every review that I saw, or like video of people using this stuff, that a little bit goes a long way. That's like for reals. And it's really nice how thin it is, you know? Like I said, we're gonna do two coats of this, with the first one being super thin. Anyways, I'm gonna paint this thing. I might put you on a time lapse, and then we'll check back in here in a little bit. Okay guys, this thing is finally done being painted, and it looks great. Let me show it to you. Yep, that's a bad angle. So anyways, it is completely black now. And it turned out pretty good. The paint feels really nice. It lays down super nice and even. It looks great, but like I said, it's got a lot of sheen to it, a lot of shine to it, and I really don't like that. So we're gonna go ahead and top it off with some Rust-Oleum. Hopefully this will flatten it out a little bit. There's a few things we gotta do though. First, we're gonna hit it with some scuffing, what is this called? Some Scotch-Brite, some scuffing pads basically. Just kind of dull it a little bit, and then we'll spray it. Another thing, I am just gonna spray kind of like the middle section of the axle. So we're gonna leave like the C's and then all this stuff the way it is. Same on this side, and just paint basically from here to here. And that's for no particular reason other than, you know, I think I don't need to paint the inside of this thing. I think it'll be fine. And there we go, this thing's nice and scuffed up. Now that paint should really stick to it. So we're gonna spray it and then I'll come back and show you the finished product. Okay guys, we're done and this thing looks good, like really good. Let me show you. So there it is, it's fully dried. And like I said, it still has a little bit of a sheen, but it's not shiny, if that makes any sense. You know, it's like satin. And it just looks so much better. Like, see, that's the actual just the POR 15. POR 15. You can see how much shinier it is than this, and to me this just looks so much better. I'm definitely happy with this stuff, and the cool thing about this is that if it gets, you know, any chips or anything like that in the paint, all we got to do is just go back with our spray can, respray it, and it should be good. So I think it'll be easier to maintain this way. Like I said, I'm super happy with the way that it turned out. Like it looks nice. It's gonna look super nice under the truck. I'm really excited for this stuff. Now I'm gonna go ahead and paint the axle. Obviously off camera, because it's the same thing as painting that thing. The only thing we'll do is remove like a lot of the brake lines and stuff like that. You know, just stuff like that we don't need. Like this brake line, I actually already got it ordered, so it should also be here this week. But yeah, like I said, you know, we're pretty much done for this video because there's not much else I can do right now without the parts that I need. But yeah, anyways, if you enjoyed it, if you think that this thing looks good, and if you think that it's gonna look good under the truck, leave a like, leave a comment with any questions you might have, and as always, I'll leave the links to all the stuff that I used down below if you want to do this yourself. So anyways, we'll see you later.